I still remember the first time I saw the show The Osbournes on TV. I thought, man, I kind of am torn. I had mixed emotions because I thought on the upside, I get to see into the life of one of my all-time musical heroes. And on the other side, the downside, I thought I get to look deep into the life of one of my musical heroes. Since then, I've learned the dangers of getting to know your heroes a little too much. The show basically left me with this feeling of, here he is, Ozzy Osbourne, with all his money, he has his family, and they're showing us what his life is like, supposedly. And it just seemed chaotic. It seemed like a really bizarre way to live. And here you had Sharon trying to hold the whole thing together, and you've got Ozzy kind of mumbling around, and the kids were all crazy, and it was just a wild thing to witness. Oh, I forgot about all the dogs, too. Plenty of dogs in this show. Now, this is back when I thought reality TV was reality. It was one of those things where I thought they just brought some cameras and the whole family just did what they usually do. And it wasn't until way later that I realized how fake reality shows really were, because my sister actually got chosen to be on a show where they renovated her kitchen. And I guess they filmed the ending many times over in order to get the best reaction. I thought that's kind of weird because after you've seen it the first time, all the other reactions are going to be fake. But that's when I learned that they didn't care if it was actually authentic. If it had the most emotional response to it, they would keep that. It's funny how times have changed, because when I watched the show back then, I thought Kelly and Jack were just these wild kids, they're teenagers at the time, but they were just wild and kind of spoiled and weird. And, compared to today, when I just open up Instagram and I see what's going on in the world, it's like, man, Kelly and Jack were tame compared to what's out today. And I thought, how could you not grow up crazy, when Ozzy's your dad? So I was really confused the day one of my friends is like, yeah, isn't it kind of weird that one of their daughters isn't on the show? And I was like, what are you talking about? Kelly's on the show. And he's like, no, they have another daughter who chose not to be on the show at all. He was like, yeah, she's older and she basically just disowned the whole family. And I was really curious about that, because from what I knew, the whole family was on this TV show. But now there was this mystery sister that, chose not to participate. But, that's pretty much all my curiosity brought me to at the time. I didn't do any further investigating. After all this Black Sabbath final concert stuff, it kind of sparked it all back in my memory, and I'm like, I'm finally gonna figure this out. So I typed in her name and I found that there were a couple of interviews that she had. One when she was pretty young, I think 16 or something, and the other ones were pretty recent, I think just a few years ago. The interview when she was younger was with Barbara Walters. A lot of people that are older will remember her, and it was really interesting because it was just a face-to-face interview, very candid, and Amy was coming off like a very, very intelligent person. I kind of kept thinking this is sort of like a Hermione Granger type of thing happening.
Were you ever embarrassed by your family?
Of course. I mean, do I like that my father publicly announces that he still has a drinking problem? No.
And Barbara asked why she chose not to be on the Osbournes reality TV show. And Amy said something that was well beyond her years. She's like, I'd love to sing, and I've always wanted a career singing. And I kept thinking that if I was on this TV show, I would be typecast for the rest of my life, and I wouldn't be able to have my own career. And I kind of laughed at that because I thought, you're already Ozzy Osbourne's daughter, so you're going to be typecast no matter what. But I kind of understand, if you're all of a sudden known for this reality TV show, it might be hard to get out from under that reputation as well. She also talked about how she didn't want to be in the spotlight all the time because she was an introvert, and so she just chose at the age of 16 to actually move out of the house to be away from all that chaos. She kind of called out her parents too a little bit, and her siblings. She said, they didn't even allow us to swear back in the day, and then all of a sudden the show happens and everybody's tossing F-bombs left and right. So she kind of showed us that, it wasn't reality TV. They were obviously acting up and acting different for the cameras, surely for entertainment value. If they showed what really happened at people's houses, half the day would just be nothing. Somebody watching TV for 6 hours, And I totally forgot about this, but Kelly Osbourne actually had a musical career going for a little bit. It was kind of like a pop punk thing. And Barbara Walters asked Amy, she's like, are you jealous of your sister for getting a record deal before you did?
She has a life, she has a talent, and why shouldn't she? just because I'm taking my time with it.
What was cool about this was that even though she was distancing herself from the family, she still admitted that she's still 100% Osbourne.
Do you use four-letter words every other
Of course.
sentence?
You know,
I'm just not seeing it now.
Do I choose to use it in every other sentence? No.
And that was cool because it would be easy to see her as, thinking she's better than her family, so she had to get away, but she fully admitted, she's part of the pack. She just chose not to be around them all the time. And it wasn't always that way because they also showed a really old Joan Rivers clip, another person people will remember probably. And it was when the kids were very, very young, and it was a Father's Day special. And Joan Rivers asked the kids, is your dad around to help you get ready for school and all that? And Amy, she looked like a daddy's girl just sitting next to her dad, and she was like, yeah, he helps us.
Yeah, he does that.
And all of a sudden Kelly goes,
No, he doesn't.
she also separated quite a bit from her dad's musical style when she was asked in a later interview about what kind of music really influenced her to do her music. Because, like I said, she's a singer, and I'll talk more about her project in a little bit. But she was mentioning all these bands that I used to really be into in the 90s, more like a little bit electronic, strange bands like Massive Attack or Tricky, Portishead, and then she mentioned Fiona Apple as well. And I thought, wow, that's like so far detached from what Ozzy would be as far as influence. So Kelly doing more of the pop punk thing is a lot closer in the world of Ozzy than what Amy was talking about with her influences. She later created her own project called Arrow, A-R-O, that's just her initials, I guess. And that really spoke to the fact that she wasn't trying to use her dad's name to gain a reputation, so she could have easily just called herself, Amy Osbourne, daughter of Ozzy, or she could have created a band called like Devil's Daughter, which is an Ozzy song, and just really went out and tried to be like her dad. I think she would have had a huge fan base right off the bat. So that's one of the biggest reasons why I respect Amy after I did a little more research about her, because she didn't take that obvious route, which is using her parents' fame, her dad's fame, to further her own career. I guess you could say it's kind of like the opposite of nepotism, which I'm going to coin nopotism, because it's like, it's right there for you to take, but you refused it, and I believe she's happy that she did that from what I'm hearing. Some people were like, yeah, but doing all that didn't really help her career, because not a lot of people know about her band. She has a following, but it's not like huge or anything. But then I thought, you know what? Kelly had a career in music too. And when you talk about Kelly Osbourne, I don't know many people that talk about her music. So I would say they both ended up kind of in similar places with their music career, but one of them got a ton of that fame and attention and all the baggage that comes with that, and the other one didn't have to deal with it as much. And that came with a price too, because you could, easily read about the substance abuse issues that Kelly and Jack went through. And there isn't a lot of information about Amy when it comes to that, but I don't hear anything like she's a raging alcoholic or, addicted to anything. I don't know, but from what I'm hearing, it doesn't sound like it. So maybe not taking that crazy path led to avoiding all of those trappings of fame. And I'm making this video because I put up a post about it on my social media about, did you even know that Ozzy had another daughter? And a lot of people didn't know that. And then to find out that she's actually like this, beautiful, strong-minded, intelligent person coming from her origins, I thought it was pretty cool. So people were like, Mike, you just have a crush on her, shut up. And I'm like, no, seriously. When it comes to the gravity a family can have on somebody, it's always cool for me to see when people kind of step out on their own. In this situation, it's kind of like the opposite of the prodigal son story, if you know that. It's like in this case, the good daughter decided to leave the house and, go on her journey. And now it looks like she's returning back home. There's a lot of video and pictures of her hanging out with her mom again and stuff. And I believe her and Kelly still have this, lifelong rift happening. Sorry, this is sounding like some kind of gossip channel right now. But then she eventually comes back home. And then Kelly, the more wild kid, she ended up staying at home with the family. So the whole time she got all the riches that they had to offer. But, she didn't have the whole journey like Amy did, being the prodigal daughter. Now, this video is not to bash Kelly or Jack. Like I keep saying, when you're from a situation like that, all these celebrities that have kids and their kids end up a total wreck. Well, it seems like nowadays the boat has sort of evened out and things are, you know, a little bit more stable from what I can tell. And I think that has a lot to do with, you know, show business life is crazy from what I've learned, you know, from everyone I know who's been through it. But if you have good parents and they stay together, it does seem like Sharon and Ozzy truly care about their kids. That's not speaking for his other kids that they never really talk about. I have no idea how he treats them. But as far as this family goes, it seems like they're a good family unit. And Sharon being the matriarch of the family, you know, you could really tell she's instilled some good stuff in their kids. I feel like if I was Ozzy's son, I'd probably be dead right now, because growing up when I'm, you know, a teenager and taking advantage of all that stuff, I may have just gone buck wild. Who knows? I want to believe that I would take the Amy route and sort of step aside and try to, you know, do things on my own, but you never know. I feel like the easy way is way too tempting. So in the comments, let me know if you knew if Amy even existed. I think it's so crazy that I grew up listening to Ozzy, and because I watched their TV show, I thought I knew all about his family. But nope, there's this mysterious other Osbourne daughter who has her own musical career that, you know, a lot of people have no idea even exists. So kind of a different video for me, but, you know, putting out that post on social media and getting that all those responses, I thought it would be really cool to open it up to my whole channel. So, okay, everyone, thank you for watching. We'll catch you at the next video. Got a lot of fun ones coming up. See ya. Bye.
Don't drink, don't take drugs, son.
No, I don't do
Please.
that. I don't do that.
And if you have sex, wear a condom.